Hi everyone, hi. Yeah, to talk today about when our children reject us. What a topic, right? I think it's probably one of the most painful, can be one of the most painful things ever when our children reject us. And because it's almost like, when we've helped to create this being that's come into the world that's half of us, right? And we've poured our whole heart into this child. And no matter how young or how old your child is, and we've given so much, and we've tried to pour so much love into the child. And if they're rejecting us and not wanting that, and not wanting you or me, that almost feels like, it feels like a slap in the face, but it almost feels like wishing we didn't exist, right? It's almost like the absolute biggest failure we could ever do, because we can't create something that also loves us, right? That we've created something that doesn't love us, so it's really a rejection of ourselves, and that it's almost like we're rejecting ourselves. It's such a big topic. And so what do you do? And okay, so I want to frame this though. First of all, don't take rejection personally. Rejection oftentimes doesn't have anything to do. Rejection has much more to do with the feelings that someone is having. And the feelings are causing them, it's almost like, there's so many different ways you can say this, but it's almost like the feelings are causing them to shut off their love valve. And nothing's pouring out, so they can't love you well. And that doesn't have to do with you, it has to do with that person, right? And their love valve. And that it's not flowing, the love isn't flowing. And so trying to understand that, I think, is really important, because if our defenses come up when we're feeling rejected, it's just going to make it a messy entanglement and get worse and pull us apart even more. And I'm really talking more about, a child-adult relationship here. And actually, my kids have rejected me for sure. And it's disheartening. And so what do you do about that? So knowing though that their rejection has more to do with their feelings that they're having in the moment. It's also not like a lifetime assessment of me as a mother. So really recognizing that that they are just having feelings, right? And it's something that can pass. It's something that they can go in of and out of. Hey, Sarah. And so just knowing that, I think, is huge, that it's just a temporary situation. And being able to, so for me as a mother, recognizing that it's just a feelings that your child is having, that you happen to be the target of that negativity, so to speak, and it feels like rejection to you, is helpful, because it can help me as a mother step into a place of, I don't have to react to that. I don't have to react to my rejection. Instead, I can respond to your hurt, right? As the child, I can respond to the child's hurt and not react to my own feeling of rejection. Huge difference, right? If you can see that, just like huge difference in terms of how we respond. And there's actually many different ways to respond. And so I guess what I'll talk about today, I didn't actually prepare this, but thank you, Sarah. So how my first instinct actually is the child who's hurting and not actually rejecting us. If we can actually move in and listen to that hurt, that does a lot to let that move. That's what we really want as the parent. If we want to be helpful and supportive, we want that to move. And I've worked in residential treatment. Like, I've worked with some really challenging situations where kids are really hurting and rejection is just popping out, all day long. And that tends to repel people because we get triggered because we feel like we've been rejected, and that's all. We can just get stuck in that. So if we can look at that child as a hurting child and actually say to ourselves, or even out loud to the child, like, tell me more about that. Or not say anything, but just be there. Hi, Emma. Okay, I'll get to your question here in just a second. And so, if you can just move in and listen to that. And if a child's really triggered, you may not be able to move in. But if you can, what I would really actually say is if you can soften, right? That's the most important piece. If you can soften your posture, soften your facial expression, soften into curiosity, that's when you're going to see change. Because when we're thinking we're being rejected, then we're gonna be harder. We're gonna be tense. We're gonna be right? And so we want to soften and listen, and that's when it allows the child to move their feelings that they're having, so that they can make a shift. So, like, wouldn't our world be better if we could all do this, and if we had support to do that? Because it's not easy. I'm not going to pretend that it's easy. But just to know that that's like the formula, that's really the formula for like helping our world be a better place. So write that down. So Emma, I want to get to your question. So how do you respond when a child says, I don't like you? I stay neutral and know it isn't about me, but I struggle in what to say. Okay. I have a meeting with some clients here in a couple minutes. So first of all, don't feel, I love that you know how to stay. And I actually, I've worked with, in residential treatment, it's really common to say to stay neutral. I actually would suggest to you to go warm. Don't just stay neutral. Go warm, right? Like, because that is what's going to help your child's limbic brain, these things. And actually, it's like this sounds really strange. It's actually a privilege that your child feels safe enough to say that. And I don't know how old your child is. That would make a difference too. But so you want to actually go warm, and your nonverbal signals are more important than what you say. I'll get to something you can probably say too, but I just want you to know that non-verbally, 2.5. Okay, perfect. So great, because you've got a lot of great years ahead of you then. So what's important then is to slow down. I would suggest going down, because part of what your child's saying when your child is saying I don't like you is I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe right now in this moment. So you want to communicate safety, and so you want to slow down. You want to get down. So I would suggest getting on the ground, sitting down. You might even lay down, and be curious. And so in terms of what to say, you could say, I think that the phrase I like the most is something like, it's really hard to hate somebody you love. Right? Like, that's really what's happening, right? Like, your child is, of course she loves you and she wants to love you at least. But it's hard because she's feeling these feelings and she doesn't understand it. And so just like slowing down a lot for a 2.5-year-old, and just like, it's really, that's a big feeling, sweetheart. Tell me more. Something else you could say. Just tell me more. I wouldn't try to focus on encouraging dialogue, because a 2.5-year-old is living through their senses, right? And you want her to continue to do that. And if we're too focused on the brain interaction and the words that are going back and forth, it's too cognitive, and it's not going to sink in. You know how I told you that she's actually telling you that she doesn't feel safe in that moment? A dialogue isn't going to change that. What's going to change that what's going to help her to feel safe in the moment. Like, that's really your job, is to help her feel safe in the moment and connect with her, is to slow way down, get small. I mean, not to make yourself small, but not to be overpowering her is the idea, right? We just want to like be relaxed and listen. And I gave you some, I think, good phrases to say, but focus on letting her express, not you trying to say the perfect thing, because you want her to actually, you want her to say, because whatever feelings she has are big and they're overpowered her, and you want her to actually offload the tension that she's carrying. And for a 2.5-year-old, that's not going to be, well, let me tell you about it, Mom, right? Like, it's just not going to happen. It's going to be more, you know, maybe a tantrum, maybe writhing around, maybe, you know, pushing up against you. And that's okay. Like, your job is to keep everyone safe. But if you want her to move through that, it's got to happen through her body. Yeah, it's got to happen through her body. So let that process happen. I hope that was helpful. And I'm going to keep this short. It's longer than I thought it was going to be, actually. But I love this topic because most people don't understand it. And it's so important that we respond in a supportive way that creates more safety and trust in the relationship. And that's usually not what happens. So I love what you're doing, Emma. And thank you for coming today. Please put comments in the comment section, especially if this is helpful and and if you try it and what happens. So, and feel free to share this with other people as well. So thank you so much. I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.